Frustrates me that everybody who deserves an apology from Jimmy has to watch this whole video where he defends himself against things that they didn't do to him before they can hear him say he's sorry. Hello there, welcome to my channel. My name is Kristen, and here I like to talk about social and cultural issues through the lens of pop culture and public figures, usually but not always. I do change it up sometimes. Today's video is going to be a follow-up about Jimmy Snow, Gabbie Hanna, and Rachel Oates. We will be focusing on Jimmy Snow's most recent video about the situation, his kind of apology, also defending himself video. I watched his video through twice, and I took notes while I watched it, and I reviewed my notes, and I did a whole first take of this video and realized my camera was not recording, so hopefully my thoughts are going to be concise, clear, and organized. I am going to be talking mostly in order of his video. I'll be doing kind of like a summary and response of his video in this one. I do encourage you, if you have the spoons and the time to watch his video, you can always watch it on 1.5 or 2 times speed if you don't have the time for an hour and 15-minute video. But if you really want to hear what he had to say, I encourage you to watch it. This is going to be my opinion and my commentary with summary as needed. So he opens up his video saying how he is going to own up to the things he did wrong in this video, but he's also going to try to defend himself against unfair accusations people have made against him. Right off the bat, my reaction is, I feel mixed about making me listen to you defend yourself against quote-unquote unfair criticism in order to hear your apology. He also says this video will be monetized because frankly he needs the money to keep his business afloat, and I think that's fine. I have complicated feelings about apology videos and monetization. I criticized him for monetizing his last video about this, I believe, but at the same time, I know that when you don't monetize a video, YouTube doesn't show it to as many people. So if you are trying to make sure that your audience hears your apology, monetizing it is one way to make sure that they do hear it. So it's not a black and white issue of like whether it's good or not good to monetize an apology video. It's just something to consider. He also opens his video by sharing how this has been really difficult. All of this backlash has been really hard on him, and he feels like he's been in kind of a dark place. I think it's fine to acknowledge that at the start. I think people do forget that creators are humans, and I think it's good for creators to remind us that they are humans and to be open about how they're doing. I do think that he takes things a little too far in this video because he continues to bring up how hard this has been on him and how he's been in such a dark place, and he makes implications that I find to be a little bit manipulative. Like, just like the way he talks about it, it just feels like he wants us to know that we did this to him. And when he brings up valid criticism, he tends to also bring up how this has been really hard and painful. And it's just like, it feels like an appeal to emotion. I feel like acknowledging it at the start once is fair, and he has a right to say this has been really hard. But I think continuing to bring it up is just, I don't like it. He also shares that like he used to think he had a really thick skin, and that, you know, when he's being criticized or like accused of things, as long as he knows he's in the right, he's always thought he could be okay and he can handle criticism, and he's learning that's not necessarily true. I think it's interesting that he used this phrasing, you know, about being in the right, because it reveals to me that his defense mechanism in the past has been knowing that he's right, which makes it harder for him to open up to constructive and valid criticism, because when he's getting a lot of backlash and a lot of people making kind of mean statements, because there probably was a lot of online harassment and bullying that he received in addition to the valid criticism. It just makes it really hard to be open to the criticism if your defense mechanism is knowing that you're right. So it puts into perspective part of why he responded the way he did, and it makes me open to seeing if he can improve and change in the way he responds to criticism in the future, because now he's recognized this issue. At this point, I want to say, and I think I might have already mentioned this, that I think mixing in the valid criticism with the online bullying and harassment he received muddles his message. I feel like it shows that he's still struggling to separate the valid critics from the online bullies. And there will always be online bullies. There will always be mean people on the internet who take opportunities to say hurtful things. But that doesn't make it fair to paint your valid critics like they are those same people. I recognize it's really hard to differentiate. I've seen many creators struggle in making this like distinction. I would probably struggle with it too. At some point, I'm sure I will face my own backlash, and I will feel like I'm being attacked even by the people who are valid critics. But I think it's important to recognize that it's hard to make this distinction and try to get better at it, and I hope that he does. It just frustrates me that everybody who deserves an apology from Jimmy has to watch this whole video where he defends himself against things that they didn't do to him and tries to make them feel responsible for this stuff that they didn't do to him before they can hear him say he's sorry. He goes on to talk about how a really big, like, I guess kind of trigger for him, not like a trigger in the sense of like mental health issues, but like something that sets him off is feeling misrepresented and misunderstood. I get that. I really hate feeling misrepresented and misunderstood too. It can really make me get really defensive and make it hard for me to hear out valid criticism if I'm feeling misunderstood and misrepresented. So I empathize a lot with that, and it helps put into context some of the way he behaved. Doesn't excuse it, but it explains it. And I think it's good that he offered up that explanation. It also just goes to show that he's having trouble differentiating between people who are making unfair assumptions and misrepresenting him with the people who are trying to tell them how they feel and trying to help them understand how this has been hurtful to them. Then he goes on to talk about drama channels, like there's some boogeyman, and like drama channels are the reason that he got a lot of critical comments on his video addressing the Rachel Oates and Gabbie Hanna situation. He acts like in the first few hours, the comments were mostly one way. And then after a few hours, they started to all be like following the narrative spun by drama channels. And like drama channels didn't respond to that in a couple hours. It took most of us a few days to make response videos. I don't even consider myself a drama channel, but I know that he considers me a drama channel just based on the things he said in this video. So whatever, fine. I guess I'm a drama channel now. None of them responded to him in a few hours, and most of the big prominent drama channels didn't have anything to say about this. So I don't know what he's talking about. I think he might be actually referencing the Reddit freely talk about Jimmy Snow. That might be where some of those comments came from. But I don't like the way he's demonizing drama channels and trying to dismiss all of the people who made videos responding to him and criticizing him just drama channels, because it feels like a way to try to discredit us. I don't think there should be anything wrong with being a drama channel, but I know the implications of calling someone a drama channel. The implication is that they are like a tabloid and that they shouldn't be taken seriously and that they're just opportunistic, greedy for followers and views. I think that's unfair. I think that is a misrepresentation of the people who criticized him. And for someone who doesn't like to feel misrepresented, I think it's interesting that he's continuing to do that to us. There is also an underlying layer of sexism anytime a man dismisses drama channels as being drama channels with no self-awareness for the fact that they have run a drama channel for years. He has been running a Christians versus atheists drama channel for years. Then he says, he's sorry for blocking people, and he was just trying to block anyone and everyone who seemed to have bad intentions and who was making bad faith arguments. A lot of the people who he blocked, in my opinion, were not doing that. And again, I think it's interesting that he's assuming the intent of people when he doesn't like when they do that to him. But at least he apologized. He also talks about how people were making bad faith arguments, again, assuming their intentions when he doesn't like when people do that to him. Then he talks about how Gabbie gets so much hate, and even though there are valid criticisms of Gabbie, there are some people who just every day they wake up and all they want to do is make Gabbie miserable and ruin her life. And I'm just like, who? Where? There are people who make their living off of the internet who have to talk about people in order to do that, because that is what the algorithm incentivizes. We can talk about the system that we're in and whether it prompts good conversations and kind behavior towards other people. We can do that. But we shouldn't just demonize people who are trying to do their best and who are trying to make their living online, because it's not their fault that these are the videos they are incentivized to make. We can talk about their role in things, sure, but we can't do that while ignoring the serious pressures that they face in order to make these videos. They are very pressured to make videos about drama and about other people and criticizing other people, because those are the videos that bring in the views. And if that is how you make your living, that's what you're going to have to do. And so I don't think it's fair to demonize these people and talk about them like this without acknowledging the reality of the situation they're in and acknowledging the bigger picture. It's just a way to discredit people. That's the only reason to talk about it like this, is to discredit them. Then he goes on to say something that feels kind of personally directed at me and some other small channels who made videos commenting on the situation and criticizing the way he handled it. He says there are entire channels who get virtually no views on any other video except now when they're talking about me or when they're talking about Gabbie and me. And he paints us like we're just opportunistic and like trying to get views, and that's the only reason we're talking about them. And like our criticisms aren't valid or genuine because we are small channels or something like that. Like, what? It just feels like he's putting us down for being small channels and for not having a platform that's the same size as his. And it's just kind of hurtful and rude, especially coming from a fellow content creator who knows what it's like to be a small channel and to be trying to build up your platform. It's not nice to like crap on us for having lower view counts. We're doing our best, we're learning, and we are trying to operate in this system where YouTube incentivizes us to make videos about other people criticizing them. We are incentivized to make drama videos, and the more you are willing to like punch up the drama and be rude and hurtful to people, the more views you're probably going to get. So if you don't like that system, if you don't like the way people are behaving and, you know, being like mean to each other online and criticizing each other and starting all these fights, if you don't like that, don't criticize us for not getting that many views on our other videos. Our other videos don't get that many views because they're not about people and they're not about drama. So if you don't want us to keep making videos about that, then maybe don't make us feel bad that our other videos don't do that good. You're just like adding on to the pressure to keep making videos about you and Gabbie Hanna by trying to make us feel bad. If you don't like how the YouTube algorithm incentivizes us to make videos about other people, talking about them negatively, take it up with YouTube. You have a much bigger platform than we do. You have a lot more power to change the platform than we do. And that's a better use of your time than making us feel bad because we get little to no views. Then he goes on to address the people who accused him of using his autism as a shield. I agree with him here. He talks about how neurotypical people want neurodivergent people to be constantly apologizing for not interacting with the world the way they do and not communicating the way they do. I think neurotypical people have a lot to do in terms of meeting people in the middle. I think he's spot on there. It's not cool to accuse him of using his autism as a shield when he is offering it up as an explanation, not an excuse for his behavior. I'm with him on that. I think those criticisms were ableist. 30 minutes into the video, he finally apologizes for being rude to people on Twitter and for using his platform to talk down to people and say hurtful things to people. We have to watch 30 minutes of him looping us in with bullies, making us feel bad for not having big channels in order to get our apology. Then he talks about how, yeah, it was probably wrong of him to talk about everything like it was just drama and like he was so above the drama when he had been covering drama topics in the last year. I feel like he's missing the point still, though. His videos have always been drama videos between Christians and atheists. There's nothing like that unique about the more recent videos that cover more traditional drama topics. His channel has always been kind of a drama channel, and that's okay. It's okay to be a drama channel. Then he goes on to actually apologize for saying F you to people, which I think is good to apologize for. He follows that up by saying some of them deserved it though, which is like kind of undermines the apology because now everyone you're apologizing to has no idea if you're actually sorry or if they're one of the people that you think deserved it. Then he goes on to talk about like the tricky dynamic if you're trying to like be friends with people or date people as a content creator with a platform and like whether people are familiar with your work or not and how that affects power dynamics. And I'm like, okay, but what does that have to do with any of this? So I'm not going to comment on it.
Just a little editor's note here. I was not aware of the conversations going on about his fan interactions and his possible misuse of his power as a prominent creator in those fan interactions. I don't have a comment on that situation. I think what people have said should be taken seriously, and I encourage you to watch other content creators who are talking about this if you want to hear someone who is more aware of everything going on and educated on the situation talking about it, because I won't be covering that here. I'm going to focus on the Rachel versus Gabbie, him cursing at fans situation.
Then he defends his choice to stay friends with Gabbie Hanna and tries to clarify what he meant when he said that he would wanted to stay friends with her so he could help change her or something like that. I'm paraphrasing. He said what he really meant by that was like when he was a worse person than he is now, he had friends who were willing to stay friends with him and help him grow as a person and not just discount him because he still had personal growth to do, and that he wants to be able to be that kind of person for other people and accept people for where they are in their journey and still be friends with them, help them along their paths. And I think that's a good clarification to offer. That makes more sense as to what he meant by that. Honestly, I think most people were more upset about the way he responded to the criticism about the friendship than the friendship itself with Gabbie Hanna, but that's just me. Then he goes on to acknowledge that he never really should have inserted himself into the situation with Rachel and Gabbie, never should have sent that message to Rachel in the first place, which, true, should not have done that. He also acknowledges that when he messaged Rachel, it kind of violated the ethics of like online book reviews, because he was kind of trying to influence a book reviewer to be more in favor of one of his friends, and that's like not a cool thing to do. He says that he didn't really know about this like as an ethical thing, which, you know, it's not really an excuse, and I'm glad he acknowledged that it was wrong of him to do that. Then he goes on to talk about like drama channels spinning a narrative about him choosing Gabbie over Rachel, and how that's not true, and blah 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 blah. And I gotta say, personally, I never said he chose Gabbie over Rachel. I said he jeopardized his friendship with Rachel by inserting himself into a situation that he knew nothing about because he was unwilling to look further into the situation. And I stand by what I said. His friendship with Rachel devolved and ended as a direct result of that message he sent to her in the first place. He says that the reason he's not friends with her anymore is because she broke his trust by tweeting about the messages that he sent her about Gabbie Hanna. So yes, his friendship did end over him trying to get Rachel to be nicer to Gabbie. It did end over that. It did. You can see on your end that the straw that broke the camel's back for you was her tweeting about it, but why did she tweet about it? What was she tweeting about? Oh, it was the whole thing between you, her, and Gabbie Hanna. So yeah, I mean, I don't really see what the point is there. If people want to paraphrase and summarize by saying you chose Gabbie over Rachel, you kind of did. In your message to Rachel defending Gabbie, that was you choosing Gabbie over Rachel. That is what kicked off the end of your friendship. So, whatever. Then he goes on to say what I think is the most egregious thing in the whole video. He denies that he silenced SA survivors, but he did. He blocked SA survivors on Twitter, and I think from his YouTube comments when they tried to tell him that they were hurt by him being friends with an R apologist and by the way he was defending an R apologist. I don't know how that's not silencing SA survivors. He tried to like pick apart the words by saying that if you say someone is silencing SA survivors, that means you're silencing them because they are SA survivors. But that's not true. It literally just means that you're silencing SA survivors. It doesn't imply a reason. And it's interesting to me that he's willing to pick apart other people's words and try to assign meaning to them that isn't there in the original text, when he has said more than once that he doesn't like when people do that to him. So when someone says you have silenced SA survivors by blocking them when they try to talk to you about this issue, and your response is, stop making it sound like I'm silencing SA survivors for being SA survivors, you are putting that interpretation on our words. You are misrepresenting us. You are misunderstanding us. You are doing the thing that you don't want people to do to you. So I'm talking to Jimmy right now. If you're watching this, please just keep that in mind. And like, he tried to say that just blocking someone on Twitter isn't silencing them, but when the conversation on Twitter is with you and you're a public figure and they're trying to talk about something you did that is hurtful to them, that absolutely is silencing them. It's taking away one of the primary channels where they can share their thoughts about this situation. And if they're reaching out directly to you and you're blocking them, you are silencing them from talking to you about this. That is silencing them, and you should apologize for it. He also lumped them in with the people who were being bullies to him, and he said that they were being abusive by bringing this up to him, and I don't think that's okay. Then in the video, he addresses his content shift from Dear Mr. Atheist to the Sometimes Show and just talks about how, like, he was really burnt out on Dear Mr. Atheist and he needed to make the change, but he recognizes it wasn't the best business decision, which, like, yeah, clearly. And he apologizes for, like, how his posts about, you know, his disappointment with the performance of the Sometimes Show definitely came off as manipulative, even if he didn't mean it that way. And he said that in the future, he's going to be better about, like, having boundaries with what he talks about publicly so that he doesn't do that to people again, which is good. Then he says that, like, people accused him of being a narcissist who's manipulating his therapist, and, like, okay, that's really out there and people shouldn't have said that. I don't think that that was the majority of what people were saying, but they shouldn't have said that. I agree with you. Fine. Then he acknowledges the hypocrisy in relation to him saying, like, he's above drama when he has covered drama topics on his channel. He's still missing the point. It's not that he covered drama topics. It's that his whole channel is Christians versus atheist drama. That's what it was, and that's okay. But anyway, he acknowledges that that was hypocritical of him. And then he goes on to say that, like, in his opinion, with drama, it's not really about who you talk about, but it's about how you talk about it, which I agree, which is why I take issue with him dismissing all of the critics on who made videos as just drama channels, because most of us do not identify as drama channels. That is not our goal. it's not to be drama channels. Our criticisms are not any less valid if we are drama channels, but that's what he's implying. And so it's annoying. And then, you know, he follows that by saying, like, he wants people to remember that he is a human and to please treat him like one. And he acknowledges the irony, because that's what he said to Rachel that kicked off all this drama. And yeah, he is a human. We should treat him like a human. Duh. I don't want people to go bully him, but I think it's fair to share that you're hurt, share how you feel about the whole situation. So I just wish that he would stop lumping in the people who are trying to talk to him about this and offer constructive criticism versus the people who are just being online bullies. So yeah, that's like my thoughts on Jimmy's most recent video, my response to him, I guess. Overall, I feel very mixed. I feel like it wasn't fair to lump everybody in with the people who were behaving poorly towards him. I feel like he misrepresented us and our intentions, despite the fact that he claims he doesn't like when people do that to him. I just think that's interesting, and I'm willing and open to like seeing how he grows as a creator and seeing how he handles future, you know, public issues better in the future. I'm willing to give him a chance on that, but right now I am pretty hurt. I especially felt like it was unkind of him to make digs at those of us who talked about him because we are smaller channels and we don't get a lot of views. I think that was mean and uncalled for. And so, yeah, I mean, I feel hurt still, especially as a survivor myself. I haven't really talked about that on YouTube. I don't appreciate all of us who spoke up about it being lumped in with bullies and dismissed as drama channels, and you know, I just don't appreciate how he handled the situation. I think we have a right to be upset at him being friends with an R apologist, and I don't think he has really fully owned how crappy that is to claim that you're an ally to SA survivors and to our survivors when you're also friends with someone who has said some pretty despicable things about our survivors. I don't think that there's a good way for him to address that, because I don't think it's super excusable, frankly. But yeah, so that's my video. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you will consider liking and commenting and subscribing and all that stuff. Yeah. Bye.